Welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Coach Emery, aka Emery McMillan, and today I have with me Kathleen Richardson, and she is an amazing individual with a lot of just pizzazz and spunk, but she has a very interesting story also. And I would like her to tell us a little bit about her story, and I'm going to dive in with a bunch of questions like I normally do. So, Kathleen, you can introduce yourself to the people.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathleen Richardson and I'm the owner of Morgan Rich Wellness. And the mission of my company is to optimize the physical, mental, and spiritual health of the Black community using African holistic health. There are three pillars of my business, the foundation, and that's intermittent fasting, herbalism, and Black radicalism. So you mentioned my post about how I got started. So I'll start there. But I really started my health journey back in 2009, Weight Watchers, but I'll fast forward to about 2014. So I had my daughter should be 9 in December. And so when she was almost 3, I left a very abusive relationship with her father. And to kind of get my bearings and get myself on track and to be the mother that she deserved, and also to be the person that she was going to be, because she was going to be whatever I was. And so I didn't want her to become what I was at that time. So I said, I have to get myself together. So I started eating right and I started lifting weights. And that's how it all began. It just kind of morphed into something that I never could have imagined happening. So it began with me like losing weight and starting to eat more healthier and eating more fruits and vegetables. And then it just kind of snowballed into me getting all these certifications and just really sharing everything that I learned with the community.
That is incredible. That is amazing. Now, that's great that you said that as far as the example piece, especially because so many people miss that part. We talk about toxic relationships a lot now in 2020 and, previous recent years, but toxic relationships affect the children more than the adults who are in them. And the
Mhm.
reason for that is the adults have already made up their minds of how they want to live their lives for the most part. They've experienced the things that they're going to do, they're going to be, they've chosen their path. These children are watching and developing and creating their future scenarios based on what they see their parents go through, or what they see their mother or their father put up with. And that's what they kind of mold their ideal behavior. They either run to it or run from it. So it's like some of them rebel against it and go to the exact opposite, but a lot of them run to that as this is what love is. And it's incredible that you mentioned that because, a lot of people, that do leave for the sake of the children wouldn't have left if it was not for the child, and who knows how bad things could have gotten. So kudos to you for getting away from that situation, because again, this is big. You saved two people,
Right.
and possibly as many other people's lives she touches, you've saved them as well, because she's going to be an example for them too. So kudos to you for that. Now, you said that you began your weight loss journey and lifting weights and things like that and eating better foods. What made you know that you had to do that? Like, what was it that you were experiencing or feeling that gave you the inclination that it was a good thing to start changing that kind of behavior or lifestyle?
Well, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure at the age of 29. So in the midst of that relationship, I had high blood pressure. I would have these terrible headaches that just would debilitate me. Like I couldn't even get out of bed. And so finally I went to the emergency room and said, you have high blood pressure. They gave me a prescription and I went and filled that prescription. And I said that that was the last time I was ever going to be in line at the pharmacy picking up a prescription. And
Wow.
7 years later, I have never been back. So that
Wow.
helped me because chronic disease runs in my family, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, heart attack, stroke, lung cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of that stuff. And it's like, I didn't want to follow down that path. I didn't want to jump in that same cycle that my parents, my grandparents, my great aunts, everybody that I knew was in, and it's like I wasn't even 30 yet. So I had already started much before they began to take their medications and stuff in their 40s. So that really made me take a look at myself, and that's how I got started. It was that, the high blood pressure, it was that relationship, which was causing the high blood pressure. It was my diet too, but it was mostly the stress from that relationship. So it was just all of that combined into one that made me say, I got to do something.
Now you mentioned something that just really, it resonated heavily, because our families, like a lot of our families in the Black community, have a lot of those things. Mm-hmm. Historically, like that's a big deal for a lot of us, and like you said, it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's a big deal. It's a very, very, very big deal that we as Black people have to address this more, because we're facing this issue that our parents lived with, and sometimes they didn't seek help for, or they got medicine, which a lot of times makes you worse, and it has other issues that come along with it. So now you're taking medicine for this, but you're not really solving the problem, and then that medicine is creating another problem in your body. So it's a lot of stuff that happens that puts us in position to perpetuate the cycle. So had you been continuously going and picking up that medicine, or continuously going to do whatever you were prescribed to do, that would also be something that your daughter would see as a normal thing to do, as opposed to seeking out natural and holistic ways to create a better lifestyle.
See, that's important you said that, because you said mission is normal. So I refuse to accept that was normal. If I had said, oh, I have to take medicine now, this is just the way life is, then I would have just gone on. But because I said, no, I don't want this to be my reality. It doesn't have to be my reality. And that's what made me start. So, and I think that's a lot of, I don't want to call it an issue, but it's just something that we deal with as a community, us accepting that this is just the way it is, and then dealing with it, as opposed to saying, no, it doesn't have to be like this. Let me figure out a way that I don't have to live this reality. And so that's mainly been what I always had to do. I had to say, is this how you want your life to be? Are you going to accept that this is the way it is? And if you don't like the way it is, what are you going to do to change it? Which is hard.
Right.
With that, facing that and saying, what am I going to do? Because if you accept that that's just the way it is, and you don't have to do anything about it, you eschew that responsibility, that accountability, because hey, that's just the way it is.
Right. That's huge, man. And I have my main question now is like, what made you know that was the thing to do? Like, what gave you, like, did you do research prior, or is it just your body just told you, or like you just felt something was just like, hey, this is what I need to do. This is the change I need to make right now. I
couldn't live my life like this. There's a quote that I got from the book. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's escaping me. I might pull it up right quick, because I know.
Okay.
Alchemist.
Oh my goodness! Please, let's talk about the Alchemist. That's like my top book of all time.
Let me see. Oh, here we go. And it says, and when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
Yes.
I had no real clue where to start. I didn't know anything that I know now, but it's like when you want something so bad, the universe, your higher power, your instincts lead you to the books, the people, everything that you need to get to where you need to go. And so that's what, once I decided that, no, I don't want to be on this medication. No, I don't want to have high blood pressure. Yes, I want to lose weight. Yes, I want to be better. It's just, everything just fell into place. And not like it was that easy, but it's like everything that I needed was provided for me along the journey.
Yes. You know what? It's crazy because a lot of people that I talk to, they either read the book and they love it, or they haven't ever heard of the book or never read the book. And it's interesting you mentioned that specific quote because, or that specific line from the book, because Paulo Coelho is an amazing author. I've read probably about 6 of his books.
Mm-hmm.
They all have like these amazing messages in the book. But The Alchemist, for some reason, it just resonated with me so much because it left so much to the imagination,
Mm-hmm.
but it put you right there. Like it went, if there's 10 steps to understanding something, it gave you 9.
Mm-hmm.
So the last step is like whatever you interpret this as, it applies to your life. And
Right.
so that specific line where it said, whenever you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. That is so real for so many people. But the problem that people don't get is that by calling and addressing wrong things in your life, not facing them as a problem that needs a solution, but giving them power, consistently talking about them, consistently bringing them up in conversation, the universe interprets that as a want,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you more of that. So if you're consistently talking about the pain you have and the frustrations you have and the bad relationships you have, it's going to give you more because the universe isn't biased. It doesn't know you're speaking of it in a bad way. It just knows that you must want this because this is what's on your mind all the time.
Right.
And so interesting that you said that, because if you have a bad day, like you get out of bed, you stub your toe, or your alarm clock doesn't go off and you're running late, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a horrible day. The universe is like, great, I'm gonna put everything in your
Yeah.
path that is aligned with a bad day. And
Right.
so that's incredible that you said that, because that I live by that. I live by that so much. Like my mindset has shifted. That book, I read that book the first time and I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read it again and I was so like, what happened was I heard Will Smith say this is like his favorite book. And Will
Mm-hmm.
Smith is like one of my favorite people in the world. So I'm like, okay, if he loves this book, maybe I'm missing something. So I went
Yeah.
back and read it in 4 hours. I
Wow.
did not put that book down. I read it overnight, and I did not put that book down until I was done reading the book. And when I got done with that book, I felt like I had just read the whole Bible. I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Wait. So you're telling me that there's this king. I'm going to say king because people who haven't read it, I don't want to give anything away. There's
Right.
this king that always appears when people are about to make the choice to abandon their dreams. I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just like, okay, fine. Wow, this is like an incredible, understanding to have. And I know I'm veering off from what we're talking about, but when you brought up the
Yeah.
Alchemist, I just opened up the wall for me. But long story short, that book, it has so many different things, like even about like love.
Mm-hmm.
He sought out to find one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not sought out to find that thing, he would have never found real love.
Right.
So because he wanted it so bad, she represented real love in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
That was not what he was supposed to have, though. And again, it's about what you just said. When you want something bad enough, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. So that is incredible that you did that. And how did you change like your mindset? Like how did you know to change your mindset about what you actually wanted though?
I didn't. I just, honestly, it started off for my daughter because at that point, I loved her more than I loved myself.
Mhm.
I didn't want better for myself, but I wanted so
Wow.
much for her that it made me, I'm like getting emotional about it because that's how much she means to me. I was like, I'm not about to let her live the same life I lived.
Right.
This is it for me. This is what this is. This is the path that I've chosen, but I'm going to give her way more. So
Yeah.
was she made me do what I had to do. I wasn't even doing it for myself. And
Wow.
then I realized that it became about me too. So sometimes, your children or your family is what propels you to change when you can't change for yourself and you can't want better for yourself. Then eventually you start to want better for yourself.
Right.
It's so hard to rewire your brain. Like you said, you wake up and you think you have a bad day. It's just almost unconscious that we
Yeah.
just think that way. And the more we become aware of what we think and we recognize the power of our thoughts, then we can begin to change it. And I read a book, I don't even remember, it was like some ebook
Hmm.
PDF download of some name, but he wrote about affirmations. You know, the first time I had heard about affirmations in that sense, like we always in church, you know, you hear life and death is in the power of the tongue. You hear,
Right, right.
but the practicality of it wasn't.
Yes,
I read that, but he
yes.
said that he said to himself, "I love and accept myself," over and over, like all day for days and days and days. And so I did the same thing. Like anytime I was like just working, typing, I would say in my head, "I love and accept myself. I love and accept," over and over and
Yeah,
over again. And that's what you have to do. You have to rewire your brain with those
yeah.
affirmations to drown out all the years of
Yep.
negative self-talk that we said. Like we criticize ourselves, you know. And then so that's literally where I started. I started doing that. I love myself. I love myself. I love and accept myself. Like over and over, all day, every day, for weeks and weeks, until it just kind of becomes ingrained, and you start to love yourself a little bit more. You start to accept yourself a little bit more. And I still have to do it today. 6 years later, I still have to remind myself, because that negativity, that old, you know, self-talk will come right back,
Yeah.
and you'll start to criticize yourself, and you say, "Nope, I love and accept myself," and all the other affirmations. So there really is like no one thing. It's just a combination of so many things that you have to do over and over again consistently. I think that's where people, they always wonder, like, "Well, how did you do this? And how did you do that?" It's like I literally do the same things every single day, no matter what. And I've done them for days and weeks and months and years. Like it takes work. It is not like overnight. And I think that's all, it's what makes it beautiful, but it also what makes it frustrating, because we want things just like that. But it's like not the way that's not the way life works.
Yeah. Very true. Like it took you 29 years to get to that point. You're not going
Yeah,
to change it in 29 days. Like, you know, and
exactly.
that's big and that's huge. And it's interesting. It's great that you said that, because it becomes a lifestyle, you know,
Mhm.
to be, you know, a person like you are, to be a person with a mindset like that, it becomes a lifestyle. You know, do you have bad days? Like you said, you never miss pizza night,
Oh,
you know,
no.
and that's the thing. Like, you know what? It comes with balance. It comes with balance. Like, so I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Okay. So you and I met at our speaking engagement at the
Mhm.
Buffalo, Erie County Buffalo, Frank Merriweather Library.
Yes.
So after that day, I was like, I'm gonna contact her about fasting. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna do some research first. I don't want to sound uneducated about it. I'm just gonna do my own research about it, and just kind of like figure it out. And then I'll reach out and let get fill in the gaps there. Well, so I started a journey of fasting without even saying anything about it. It's not like I've not been doing it every single day. And I have not been, it's a life, it's part of my lifestyle, but it's not like I'm not like fluent with it.
Mhm.
So I'm at like a 12-hour mark,
Okay.
consistently at like a 12-hour mark, where it's like, okay, when I stop 12 hours later, I will not touch anything until 12 hours later. And I'm like, once I get to 14, then I'll tell her. Because
Listen,
I know, because you was like 14, I believe it was 14 and 8, right?
16-8.
16 8.
And you
I'm
know
like,
what?
once I get to that point, then I'm gonna seek her out for some more information.
No.
And but I
I'm gonna
noticed
tell you a
that.
secret. I'm interrupting and tell you a secret. You can do 16-8 starting tomorrow. There is absolutely nothing stopping you.
Very true, very true, very
So,
true.
so you'll be
But
contacting me tomorrow, right?
well, it'll have to be Monday, because I'll have to do the whole 24 hours. But you know what? Honestly, it's not as hard as I thought. It's not as hard as I thought. And the biggest thing for me was shifting my mindset and my relationship with food.
Mhm.
Again, 30, almost 37 years until last year, where when I found, I didn't even know what fasting was for. I know that people talk about fasting and things like that, but I never knew what it was about or for or anything like that. And so once I heard about it, I'm like, okay, let me look into this and find out why. And then I spoke to my brother, and my brother was doing like 3-day fasts and things like that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this is interesting. Let me get more information about this. And so I wanted to know, like, what exactly is this for? And so I was talking to my brother. He was like, you have to make changes on a cellular level in your body. And I'm just like, okay, but what does that mean? You say all these great and amazing things that sound so profound,
Right.
but what does that mean? He's like, well, your body stores, and I'm not going to do your job because that's what you're going to talk about. But long story short, when I understood what he was telling me about fasting and why it's important for our bodies, it's almost the same way you do anything. It's like you can't do anything in excess because then you don't give yourself time to process whether you're enjoying it or if it's just a habit. So I think that was what I had to understand. Like my habit was food. When I was mad, I would eat a certain type of food. When I was happy, I would eat a certain type of food. When I was sad, I would eat a certain type of food. But I noticed that all my emotions were tied to eating. So I had to tie my emotions to different things. So when I'm happy, I'll read a book. When I'm sad, I'll read a different type of book. When I'm, and so that's kind of what I started to do. And so last year I read 52 books. And but prior to that year, maybe 8 the year before that, and maybe 4 a year before that, but I never made it a point to engage in that much information um, intake because I was taking in bad food. So I completely cut out pork. I haven't ate pork in years, like probably about 3 years, and that was just because, like you said, I was pre-hypertension, so I had those headaches that I couldn't function for the whole day. If I have one piece of bacon, I can't function at all this whole day, and so I was pre-hypertension. Um, but I was like, I'm not taking medicine. Same thing you said. I'm not taking medicine for it. I've seen what the medicine does to people. I'm not taking medicine for blood pressure. I'm just going to cut out the thing that I know makes my blood pressure spike. And so I watched it very closely. I monitored it. My family had blood pressure machines around because they had issues that required them to check their blood pressure regularly. And so I would always check mine, and I would check it after I ate certain things within that time in like a 8 hour span afterwards. And I noticed that my headaches were directly associated with pork. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. So I asked a couple other people, like, hey, have you ever experienced this? And they're like, no, but everything is not for everybody. So
Right.
I cut off pork and I started having those headaches less and less and less. And now I don't even get those headaches anymore. And so for me, it was just like, wow, I didn't realize how much putting something in your body, one little thing, can throw off your whole balance. And that was big for me. So after I heard your speech about how you had been on your journey for hundreds of days, I'm just like, how is this even possible? She's got to be lying. This can't be true. So I tested it out. I'm like, this is impossible to do. Like, how can a person even do this? And so I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna doubt something I don't know anything about. So I'm gonna research. I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
see what it is, and then I'm gonna seek her out for some more information. And so once I started doing it, I noticed my energy was better. I was able to function better. I was able to section off my mind for my tasks better. And I was also able to eat food I actually enjoyed eating that was still good for me though. And I had to find new foods. Like right now, mushrooms are my substitute for my meat in most cases. And it's just like I found so many ways to make mushrooms. It's like what you want to eat, I got you. I can make it with mushrooms. Like you want steak, I got you. Like but again, it got to a point where I started to experience with things I never had before, and it made me understand like I'm putting energy into my body. It's not just food. I'm deciding what energy I want to feel for the day. So, but yeah, so that's dope. And so I just wanted to chop you off and tell you like, listen, I did that. I did that thing that I talked to you about that day. I did that thing. So
That
I
is
have been doing it.
great.
Yeah, I have been doing it, and I just it definitely changed a lot of my life, and I know that there's more work to do, but that is a big. I'm a big, I will say to anybody, give it a chance, try it out for yourself, do it at your pace, but definitely do it consistently and feel how your body, you know, responds. You were talking about affirmations when I cut you off, but when you said that, it triggered me to tell you, like, listen, you got to tell her. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I want you to find what that book was because I would love to share that with everybody.
Oh, again, it was like a PDF download. It wasn't even. I don't think it was a real book.
Wow.
It was, but that's what started me to realize the power of our thoughts and mind. Even though we know things, again, it wasn't practical. But I love
Yeah.
what you said about how you figured out what triggered you. Like everybody is different. You have to know your body.
Yeah.
You said bacon was that for you, and you knew that if you ate bacon, you were going to have headaches. And so, with health and wellness, it's really trial and error.
Mhm.
what works and what doesn't work for you. And yeah, I literally like fasting is just, I'll never stop. Like some days, like the other day, no, there's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, you mentioned you talked about so much, and
Right.
I was like, talk about that. But you talked about emotional eating.
Mm-hmm.
You were happy, you ate this food. You were sad, you ate this food. So my daughter was with her grandparents for a couple days this week, and she came home yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, I want some popcorn." And I was like, "Yeah, go get it." And she was like, "All the popcorn almost gone. What, you had a bad couple days?" So she knew. And I'm the same way. It's like I'm an emotional eater.
Right.
And if, certain emotions trigger me, but the thing that I realized is that it's not the food that you want, it's the emotion that you're after. So if you can get that emotion a different way, then you emotionally eat.
Yeah.
I figured out, I go running when I feel sad or frustrated, and I literally feel so much better. Sometimes and I cry. It's just a release. I feel so much better. If I feel like angry and frustrated, like somebody did something to me and I didn't get a chance to say what I wanted to say to them or get them in the way that I wanted to, then I'll go lift because I feel empowered. I feel strong. Also, journaling helps. Just getting out exactly how you feel so you don't go eat it. You write it out. And then also, if you wait 15 minutes or so, that food craving will usually pass you by. Drink some water. And even sometimes I'll go brush my teeth because then that taste is gone.
Right.
Because if you want something sweet, when you brush your teeth, you know it's going to taste not the same.
Right.
You avoid that altogether. So there's so many different ways that you can overcome that urge to go eat and instead find healthy ways to, deal with our emotions because we're always going to be faced with emotions that are unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having the tools to navigate them effectively and to realize that, okay, this emotion, I'm going to feel it and then it's going to go. But I'm not going to let it ruin everything I got going on. And then some days, you know what? I don't want to run. I don't want to lift. I don't want to journal. I want to have the food that I want. So I give myself, I call it the 24-hour rule, where, you know what, I can just be a mess. I can lay in bed, be a bum, eat all the ice cream I want, but I know when that 24 hours is over, I'm getting up and I'm going to go about the rest of my life and leave that behind. So it's like, it's not being perfect, but it's just realizing that some days you just can't. And you're like, you know what, today I just can't. And I'm going to give myself that freedom, but you don't stay there. That's the
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's dope, man. That's really dope.
It is. So with the fasting, it's just like a game changer. It will change your whole, and once you start to do it, it will change your whole entire life. There are so many benefits, like physically, mentally, spiritually. But it's just from a physical standpoint, we eat so much, like breakfast, a snack, lunch, a snack, dinner, and snack. And then it's like our bodies are processing all of that food that we eat. Most of it isn't good for us anyways.
Right.
So we have an accumulation of toxins and weight. And that's how disease happens. That's why we feel sick because our body can't get rid of the toxins fast enough. So what fasting does is it allows your body a chance to stop processing all the crap that we're eating. And instead, it's like, okay, you know what? I can ease these toxins out and you can start to feel better. And so that you can do that on a daily basis. Like you said, start for 12 hours or just skip breakfast, just skip breakfast, just have your first meal at noon. And you can really do like the 16, like it's 1:30 now. The last time I ate was yesterday at 6:30. So I'm at that's 20 hours right now. So it's just becomes a lifestyle. It's just, and I'm not lying either.
I believe you.
6:30 yesterday.
I believe you.
And I can't imagine like doing anything different. And of course, like sometimes I wake up and I'm like hungry, but I'll drink my water, have my herbal tea.
Yeah.
So kind of those hunger waves, they come and they go. So if you kind of get through those, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's just, you feel so much better. You have like mental clarity. You have so much more energy. You're so much more productive. Like the other day, my daughter, she's like, "Mommy, you work and you have an internship. You go to school, you take care of me. How she's like, how do you do it? And at first I was like, you're right. How do I do all of that? Then I thought about it. It's like because I'm fasting, I am at my optimal almost all the time. Of course, it's a lot, but it's like if I wasn't fasting, I don't think I would be able to do everything that I do. It literally becomes like gives you superhuman powers,
Right.
like literally from a mental standpoint, to an energetic standpoint, a spiritual standpoint. It's just like a game changer. And
Right.
I tell everybody, like, you gotta fast. But it's two things. They tell me something wrong with them. I'm like, you need to drink some water, you need to fast, you'll be okay.
Yeah. That's incredible, and I'm glad you said that. I want to go back to something you said. Then I want to come right back to where you are right now. So you said that breakfast and then a snack, lunch then a snack, and you said skip breakfast. But when you did your presentation, you said something that hit home with me, and it changed the way I looked at it. That was the first thing you said. I was like, okay, all right, okay, she on to something here. I never understood the word breakfast. And then when you said like breakfast is just break, it doesn't mean you have to eat in the morning. It means that's the time you break your fast. And I said, oh, wow. Okay, that makes sense. Like the first thing you put in your body for the day doesn't have to be in the morning, doesn't have to be bacon and eggs. And a lot of people associate the phrase breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It is, but that doesn't mean it has to be in the morning. It doesn't mean it has to be, the way they put breakfast on the television. It just means the first thing you put into your body is the first chance your body gets to break down nutrients and positive things for your body. So it's the most important thing that you're going to put into your body for the day. And when
Mhm.
you said that, I said, yo, wow, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. And at that point, I'm like, okay, now I got to be careful about what I'm eating when I first put food in my body. So I
Right.
would prep for my food for the next day. I would take my food to work with me, make my stuff at night. And how I would do it was what I would do to start my fasting was I would cook my food at night,
Mhm.
because something about cooking food satisfies you to the point where you don't even really got to eat it. So I would cook my food for the next day at night and then package it for the next day.
Okay.
But I would make sure I stopped eating 12 hours before I got to work. And I would make sure I didn't eat my food until I got to work. So that
Mhm.
was how I made my first, 12-hour fasting thing work for me, because I know there's a 12-hour gap between the time I stop eating and the time I get to work, and I'm not going to eat before I get to work.
Right.
And so that was kind of how I made it work for me initially, because it was a big deal. Like I was already feeling things in my body. I'm in the 30s. And so it's like when we get in the 30s, you feel it all. Like you feel everything. Like when we're younger, it's like, oh, I can eat all these chips. I can eat this pizza. Let's go have wings. We had happy hour last night. And you can do it all. But when you get in your 30s and up, your body starts to talk to you louder. Like, hey, what's going on. And then you start to remember all these people that you remember passing away at 40 and 45 and 50. And you start thinking like, I'm getting up into that age. I should start being more conscious of my body. And, it's nothing wrong with doing it sooner, but at that age, we all recall like losing an aunt or an uncle or somebody that the whole family was like, wow, they were so young. And
Mhm.
so our minds start thinking like, man, what do I got to do to make sure I'm not that person? And
Right.
so whenever somebody's talking about what they've done to change their health or change especially their energy and their output, I'm always listening, because I do so many things. Like I
Mhm.
have a job, I have my daughters, I have a business, I have my podcast, I have a couple other things I'm in. And so there's so many things that I have to have the energy to do. Whenever I hear something that says you're going to get more energy, it's like I'm in. Let me try this, because again, that is something that is big for me. If I can't do it well, I don't really want to do it.
Right.
And so, but yeah, coming back to what you said about that, it just that when you said that about breakfast, it changed everything for me, because I was always thinking like, as soon as you get up, you got to eat. As soon as you get
Mhm.
up, you got to drink. You got to have your breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. And that once I changed that, I already started to feel more powerful in myself, because I wasn't controlled by, okay, what are you going to eat? Oh, you're running late for eating breakfast. You got to hurry up, just grab anything.
Mhm.
Now it's like, okay, what do you want to put in your body? What are you feeling? What do you want to shift? What is good for this type of feeling? What is good for that type of feeling? And so I started eating foods that were best suited for how I live my life.
Mhm.
What has the most energy, what has the most nutrients, what's going to sustain me longer so I can go the longest without eating again.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, it's like, man, we could talk about fasting forever because
Oh my God.
there's so much about that. And like I said, I'm just a baby when it comes to this thing. It's really like day 830 now, 850 or something like that.
Wait, let me pull up my logs.
I
So,
mean,
because I wonder if, yes. So this is, today is day 824.
24.
I get to 1,000. Like it's going to be like April or something. I already looked it up. Like this will be day 1,000 that you've
That
been
is crazy, man.
fasting. And it just, to look back, I started July 24th, 2018. And I remember writing 7/24/20 and the number of hours. And to think that I just kept at it and now I'm here. It's like if you start, you don't know where you're gonna end up.
All right.
You keep going. And I didn't intend to do it. It just kind of happened because I loved the results. I loved the way that I felt. I loved the way that I looked. I loved that I was just able to outperform my peers at work. And, it's like, I tell people, it's almost like stepping outside and looking at the world from the outside in because your consciousness is elevated because everybody's doing the same thing and you're not, not, I mean, fasting has become the thing now to do,
Mm-hmm.
but even choosing to do it in a particular way makes you different. And
Yeah.
so I look at the world and I just see everybody so kind of like sad and down and just on a hamster wheel. And here I am fasting for 800 days, looking at everybody like, come over here with me. You can
Right.
do something totally different. So even it was just that, and that's what keeps me going is that the benefits. And there's this meme I love that says, once you see the results, it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to feel good and be healthy and, wake up feeling a certain kind of way most days, And some
Yeah.
are hard where it's just like, I'm like, you know what, it's 15 hours. I don't think I'm making it to 16. Let me just drink my little juice and go on about my day. And those days are few and far between, but again, it's like I give myself permission to have those moments and to have those days. But I know the next day, it's like right back, right
Yeah.
on it. So yeah, and then you can do extended fasting too. Like every once in a while I'll do 36 to 72 hour fast. Eventually it's like I want to try a 5-day fast and then a 10-day fast. And with the extended fasting, it's like you do it for a very specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You do it because, and I always think of this story that my grandmother told me about my mother when she was, I think 6 months old, she was diagnosed with spinal meningitis.
Mm.
And they said that if she lived, she would be a vegetable. She wouldn't be able to walk, talk, any of that. And so what my great grandmother did is that she had got some of the women together at the church and they went on a 3-day fast and they prayed for my mom's healing. And I tell everybody, like, if you know my mother, she don't shut her mouth. So much to say she wouldn't be able to talk, but it's like she did that fast for a very specific purpose. And so when I do those extended fasts, it's like I'm doing it for something. I want something to have a goal. I need something to happen. So I turn down my plate and it's like, this is what this is about. And it sends a message to, again, the universe, to God, to whomever that, listen, I need something to happen. I need something to change. And I'm always inspired by that story when I do my extended fast that when you do something that intentional, because it's not easy to say, I'm just going to drink water or drink tea for 3 days straight.
Not at all.
It's sending a very powerful message that you want something to happen. And it, like you said, if you think about it, you think about, oh, I'm going to have a bad day, that's what you're going to get. If you think that I want this done, I want this to happen, and you fast and you think about it and you pray about it and you do all that in those 3 days,
Right.
then it's bound to happen. So and those are like levels of fasting. So you get the physical benefits, like, oh, I feel great, but then you get something else even more powerful that can happen.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. When, especially like you said about focusing on something, that's a great story about your mom, by the way. Like, people understanding that the power doesn't stop with you. Like, I can fast for this thing for my family. I can fast for this thing for my lifestyle, for the people around me. And It's interesting. It's interesting. You know, I did an affirmation thing the other day. So I was sitting outside, and I was meditating in the yard, and I'm like, you know what? I want to take it a little bit deeper. I want to know what my body feels and why it feels what it feels. So I looked up a affirmation about understanding, because I heard what my brother said about, you know, changing on the cellular level, and I'm like, oh, you know what, fine. So I looked up an affirmation about feeling my cells, like feeling my cells and communicating with my cells. And I'm like, you know, okay, fine. Let me just test this thing out. So I'm repeating the affirmations, I'm repeating the words, I'm repeating, and it's just like I forgot the words exactly, but basically, long story short, the affirmation was about understanding and feeling every change in your body, every change down to the cells. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling like every little thing. And I forgot I did the affirmation. I forgot I did it, but I've been feeling so many things. And it's like, I think my body wants water now. I think my body needs to, I think I need to hold off on eating right now. I think, and I've been just doing it in like a language almost. And it just hit me when you talked about doing affirmations for what you want or calling things that you want. I forgot I did that affirmation. I forgot I even did that, but I've been feeling it for about 3 weeks, and I did it about a month ago. And it's been very, very. Let me put my phone on silent, but it's been very intense. I'm like, why am I feeling every little thing? Like, you know, something's weird here. And other phone, dang. So but yeah, when you said that, it brought that to me, like that's what's been happening. And so it just made me realize, like, yeah, we're really powerful. We're really, really powerful. And we can call things into action in our lives that we don't even understand fully. You know, and it's just like, man, we have so much. And people always say we only use X amount of, and the number always changes. First it was 8, now it's 13, then it's 17. I believe that the more we understand what we want and what we're here to do, and then things unlock. Like, why would you need to use 25% of your body to do 1% of what you're able to do? You don't need that. So I think the more that we start to unlock ourselves, the brain and the power in our body and our brain unlocks with it. Like, you don't need this. You don't need to know that you can fly if you just want to get around the corner. So, you know, the more we learn that we want to do, that we can do, the more our brain's like, oh, you want to do that? I got you. Guess what you can do. So it's interesting that you said that, but I believe that that's very important and very key. But okay, we've been on this for a while, and I got lots of questions for you, and I don't know how much time we got left. But what obstacle? What was the biggest obstacle that you have faced with building um melaninrichwellness.com? Like, when you built that brand, when you built that whole thing, like that is a statement in itself. What made you even want to build that? Like, what made you realize like that was something to share, not just for your own life, but something to share?
Well, I always go back to this quote by Dr. John Henry Clark, and he says, take what you do best and do it for your people. So it's, how could I learn or know or have the tools to change my life and not share it with everybody that I could? Because I had no idea of the stuff that I learned. No one told me. And so it's a duty, it's an obligation. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And so that's why I did it. And the biggest obstacle was myself, my own self-doubt, my own thinking, can I do this? Should I do this? Am I qualified? Do I have what it takes? And it's always been me. That's the biggest obstacle. Like, I can say, oh, it's finances. Oh, it's I don't have the time. Oh, it's this and this. But at the end of the day, it's only me. And it's me coming to that realization over and over again. Like, me looking at my business again, like over the past couple of weeks, it's like, I'm not where I want to be, or I want to do more, have more. And it's like, and I'm looking at the issue. And when I get to the root cause, it's always me.
Yeah.
Always me stopping myself. And another obstacle with saying that it's me was overcoming the mindsets, the patterns, just the things I have been taught, the self-limiting beliefs that I have been taught, that have been ingrained in me, unconsciously by my parents, because it was ingrained in them. and just breaking those curses and doing that hard, tough work of looking at everything ugly and everything dark in you and saying, okay, let's bring some light to this lovingly and gracefully and, not, oh, you da 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 da, but
Yep.
wow, you have this belief, it's not working for you, so let's change it. So
Yeah.
that's really, that's what it is. Like, couldn't know what I know and not share it with
That's dope.
everybody that I could, because we have this people, even in the society, that chronic disease is something that just is. Like, at a certain age, you're just going to get something and then you're eventually going to die from it.
Right.
That's a lie. And it's like, I have to tell as many people as I can, that's a lie. You can die at 90 and 100 with nothing wrong with you, peacefully in your sleep. You don't have to take medications. You don't have to go to the doctor every 3 months. You don't have to wake up feeling tired and lethargic and just not yourself. You can, like, being healthy and happy and whole is our birthright. It's what we were placed on this earth to accept. Anything
Yeah.
less is just nonsense. And so just trying to trigger people, and it's like, not that I can't tell anybody to do anything, but at least I can give you, I always say we make decisions based on certain information that we have. And we don't have all the information that we need to make decisions. So I'm just saying, here's the information that I learned here. Here you go. Now when you make your decisions, you have some other information to pull on to help you make the best decision for you. And that's really what it's all about. Like, I know I'm never trying to tell people what to do or to trigger them, because sometimes when you've been living a certain way and somebody tells you something different, you get angry, defensive. And I'm never trying to offend anybody, but it's just like, listen, I got to tell you this truth. It's the truth is the truth.
Right.
Oh, those are the things that motivate. That's what made me start Melanin Rich Wellness, and those are some of the obstacles that I face, is just basically myself.
That's dope. That is dope. I mean, you answer more than one in that right there. It's wow. I feel like I live the same principle. Like everything I learn, I try to share. And you see my Facebook page. There's no negativity, there's no mess, there's no chaos. I'm always giving, and anything that was on my page, I'm not just like looking at scenarios and saying, okay, this is how I would handle that hypothetically. No, I'm telling you what I did, but I'm not telling it to you in my story. This is what I would personally advise in this situation. This is what got me through here. This is what did not work. And this is what held me back for so long. And that's all I ever post. I never post opinion. I always post just my own experiences in the form of a statement, because I always tell people this, like I look at Facebook, like you don't need any more problems. We don't need any more problems, but we do need more solutions. Let me give all my solutions and you use what you can, and whatever helps you helps you. Let me give more solutions, because when we pose more problems, we jump in that pool of lack of worth. Like there's nothing there. We don't need that. We don't need that. You know, yes, of course, there's people who are overweight. Do I need to jump on there and be like, wow, everybody overweight today? No. Hey, guess what I did? I did this and it made me feel like this and I lost X amount of pounds. I'd rather do that. I'd rather do that. I'd rather say, hey, I dropped a toxic friend this week and I understand now that it's okay to do so. I don't want to be like, oh, my friend took $700,000 from me. And no, we don't need more of that. You want to find problems, again, whatever you want, the universe will provide you. You want problems, you can scroll into problem after problem after problem. You want solutions? That's how my mind works. My mind works in solution-based thinking. If you want solutions, there's never enough solutions. Every problem I ever encounter, I'm always finding a solution, whether it's that moment or a moment after, or not far after that. Because at the end of the day, I want to know that I did not let the problem control me. I let the solution be the way I live my life. And I'm not 100% with that. I'm not 100% with that, but that's how I try to function. If someone calls me like, oh my God, guess what happened? Nah, 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 nah. People hate talking to me because I'm that friend that's like, yo, and this person did and such and such and such. Like, okay, what are we going to do about it? And they're like, I'm not done venting. Okay, but what are we going to do about it? man, I don't want to talk to you no more. Let me call you back. Like they do that. They really do that because they know me. And I don't know why they even call. They know they call because they know I'm going to do that anyway.
Right.
And they know that's what they need, but they don't want what they need.
Yeah.
But somebody called me like, hey man, I feel like crap today. Oh, okay, great. So what time are we going to the gym? What time are we going running? What time are we, swing by? I'm about to juice for you. Like that's the kind of friend that I am. I don't want to spend time in your problems. I got my own problems and I'm not swimming in those. So why I'm gonna jump in your pool of problems? Let me just prescribe you a solution that I think would work for you as your friend. And that's how I'm going to move forward. So I agree. Like if I learn something, share it with the people. We have a moral obligation, like you said, to share this information with the people who we care about and who are in our community directly, especially directly. So that's dope. And I'm glad that you said your obstacle is you, because a lot of people will never say that. And there's really ever only one obstacle. Like as much as you can say there's oppression, there's this, there's that, all these things have solutions. And if you look at the problem and you only want to see the problem, you never want to see the solutions that you can input every single day in your life. You can blame and blame and blame all day, but the solution has been in your hands forever. It may not be easy and it may be a more sacrificial solution, but it's a solution. And if you choose that this is too difficult for you, don't you can't place blame then. And once you've understood that your job is this, your role is this, and you say I don't want to do it, you've taken the blame from whoever you thought there was their fault, and now you've shifted the blame to laziness or lack of sacrifice or whatever you want to call it. So again, we've always been our own obstacles in one way or another, and it may not be directly, it may not be you standing in your own way, but it may be you like, listen, I know that the spring that I'm supposed to drink from that will heal me forever is at the bottom of this cliff, but I'm afraid of heights and I don't want to jump. You can't blame the heights. This is you. Like you don't want to jump down there and get what you came for. Right. So at the end of the day, like you said, it's all about, you understanding that it is your own doing. And that is dope because once you get that out the way, now you can think about everything differently. Like the problem arises, okay, now that I know I'm not in the way, I know I can solve this problem. And that puts you in a place where most people never get to. It's like, hey, you know what? Things are difficult right now, but I at least know I'm not going to sabotage my day. So anything that comes at me, we karate chopping it. We fruit ninja and we just because that's what you got to do. Because once you understand your power and your uniqueness, and that was what drew me to you the most, was like this uniqueness of taking the power into your own hands, taking the power into there's no scripture or there's no pattern, there's no lifestyle ordinance that you can read that tells you, okay, you fast for 824 days and then no. This is a journey that you chose to go down by yourself. I mean, I know you got your fasting team, but you chose to go on this journey by yourself, and you experience what you experience. All those superpowers are piling on as attributes to your own life. So when you speak to somebody about how they feel and what they feel, you're a product knowledge expert, I like to say. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're just somebody like go fast and then you pick up a burger and you eating all day. Like, no, they're watching you live this way.
Right.
And I think that's different. So like I said, when people communicate with me, they know they're really coming for the realness. They don't say it, but they know. They call me like, hey, as soon as they hit my phone, I already know. It's like, all right, let me get to these solutions because I'm not trying to dwell in problems. But that's dope. That's very, very dope. So I have a fun question for you. And I did not tell you about this question, but what is, and I can't say your last book because I'm sure you've read a lot of interesting books. So I'm going to ask you a better question. What is the book that you read that changed your life the most?
Oh my God, that's an unfair question.
Yeah, I know, right? I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's okay.
Okay, I'll give you top two books.
That is so hard. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay, so I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in 8th grade, our teacher taught us that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. And when I got into high school, it was a Black teacher. I'm not going to say the name, but when I got to high school, I took American history. I learned that wasn't quite how it happened. Like, he ain't do nothing. I was so mad. When I tell you I was mad, and I went home and I told my dad, I said, you know what? I can't believe that this Black teacher taught these Black kids that this white man freed the slaves and he didn't. And I said, I will never, ever in my life let anybody teach me anything about our history, our culture. I was like, I want to learn it on my own. And he got me the book, J.A. Rogers, 100 Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof. And that started my entire journey on delving into Black life in America, becoming radicalized as a Black American. So I would say J.A. Rogers, 100 Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof, because I learned so much about who we were, Black people I'd never even heard of, and how much we had done. So I'll say that's the one book, because it just started my whole journey into being radicalized. And then I would say the second book is Spirit of the Ancestors by, I can't remember her name, but that's what started my journey into really connecting with my ancestors and understanding African spirituality and how it's all connected. So I would say it still is an unfair question. And I feel like,
Are you mad at me?
I'm mad at you, but
Good.
those two books, because they kind of precipitated very unique paths in my life. I could name a whole bunch more, but I won't. But I do want to say one thing that you mentioned before you got into your fun question, and it resonated with me, and I think I'm going to do the same thing you do. You said how you post on social media. You don't say like, oh, there's half of Americans are overweight and blah, blah, blah. You said, well, this is how I started my journey. And I think that when I post on social media, I tend to do that. Like you said, present problems. And I don't intend to do it. But when you said it, I was like, oh, dang, I be coming with more problems instead of solutions. So I want to thank you, because I am really going to approach the way I post in a much more, go ahead, go get it. I'm sorry.
That's cool.
Much more proactive way, much more intentional way. So I don't come off as I'm giving a problem and then a solution, but it's just mere solution. So thank you for that, because when you said that, it was like, oh, I need to do from now on. So
well, I'm glad that that resonated with you.
It did. Like, I'm gonna do that. The next time I post, that's exactly how I'm gonna think. Are you presenting a problem or are you presenting a solution?
Right.
When people read this, are they gonna see you like yelling or being all high and mighty, like this and that, or are they just simply going to see you as, wow, okay, this is just a solution? So I really appreciate.
No, it's not. Again, man, it took me a while to learn that, because I was a big woe is me person for a long time. I would never say it. I would just live it. I would live what was me. I would live real timid and afraid of what I was really able to do. And then I started reading things on social media, and then I realized I was feeling worse. And I'm like, what is the common theme here? Like, everyone comes here to vent. Like, what if I just was dropping helpful stuff for people in this same pool? Like, and I don't even really say what the problem is I'm addressing, because it doesn't have to be as specific as that. Sometimes it's just like, if a sweater doesn't fit, you won't wear that same sweater. Relationships are the same way. That's all I'll say. And then you can take that and apply it to a relationship, and your marriage, and your friendship, and your partnership, and your business, and a job, whatever. And that really, people typically hit me up like, hey, that really helped me through this thing. And I'm like, I didn't mean it about a dog, but that's what they that's what they do. So it's like, and that is really what ultimately brought me into the coaching industry, period, because people just resonating with the solutions that I provide for problems I don't even know they have. That was the biggest thing for me. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't even know what you were going through, but I posted something very general as a solution, and you applied it to your specific situation, and it changed your day, or it changed your mind, or it changed your life. And to me, that's the biggest reward I can get, is to be able to say that I put something out into the universe that allowed me to help someone else. Um, so the beautiful part about when we want something, the universe conspires to help. It's interesting because we're all tied into that. People always think karma is this bad thing. No, karma is also a beautiful thing. So when you want something, universe conspires to help you achieve it. Well, I wanted to get healthier, and I was at that event that you happened to be at talking about fasting, and you became in that path. You didn't know that. You weren't like, hey, go there, this dude named Emery, he gonna be sitting in the second row, he gonna need to know about fasting. Like, that's not how the universe works. It puts you on a path so you can also be beneficial to other people. And that is the beautiful part about life. And that is why I always try to tell people, yo, spread love, no matter what, just spread love, be dope, be great. Because when you do it that way, you're helping someone else's journey get where it needs to go. I don't care if the person I help it looks like me or not. It's great if it is, but everybody, you can the domino effect of life is so intricate. You can tell somebody today that they're amazing. That person just purchased a gun from Walmart or one of these places and was just ready to end it all. And they go home and they're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And you just saved that person's life by just saying that they matter.
Yeah.
No context involved, no specific reason. They matter because in that moment they did to you. And sometimes people just need to know that. So as people conspire, as people want things, and as the universe conspires, it's like, listen, it's give and take. I've done this for you. I'm gonna put it in your heart to do this for somebody else. And I'm gonna put it in their heart to do something for somebody. And it's a domino effect. So the more we give solutions to problems that we don't even know about, the better we're making the world every single day, just little by little.
Right. And that's why you have to trust your intuition, because like you said, just somebody in Walmart, like say you want to say that to them, but then you're like, I'm not about to say that to them because they might look at me strange or, whatever. And it's like, you don't know what, like you said, what that might have done for that person. So whatever you feel to do, you just have to trust it and do it. And whether it's received in a certain way or not,
Yeah,
just
man.
just do it.
Yeah. And I mean, just think about the irony of what we were brought together to do, right? We came there, and the topic of what we were talking about had really nothing to do with what we presented on. Like, it was
Right.
loosely related, but it really wasn't. And from that, our association was created. From that, we furthered that by bumping into each other in different arenas, and understanding there's value here. There's value in furthering this communication that we have with each other. And all of that came from something that had absolutely nothing to do with either one of our professional fields.
Right.
So again, it's just like how the universe works. It's like, listen, I know what you need. All you have to do is you just have to want it. You just have to say you want it. And then, because I can give you this or I can give you that. You want to have a bad day? I got the perfect idea for you. I've been thinking of this plan for a while. I've been waiting to use it. Or I got this great day ahead and I've been waiting for this too. So whichever you want, whatever you want to think about, I got you. And that's the unbiased universe working in your favor, whether you want it to or not. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, just tag me in the post, please, because I will definitely perpetuate that message to whoever needs to hear it. That's what it's about. And I think that's not what social media probably thought was gonna happen. But that's all I use my platforms for. Is giving that little bit of just scrolling up. Somebody may have just saw rest in peace and then get to my mess and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to give up today. I'm not going to think that everyone is a bad person. I'm not going to think that all men are dogs or all women are this, or I'm not going to feel this way, because this dude just changed my perspective. He just made me think, made me feel something. And once you make somebody feel something, good or bad, you can control them for that moment. And I think that is what people fail to realize. Like, you have so much power in your words, whether written or spoken. I try not to speak unless I'm changing something. So, I do have one more question for you. One more question for you. And I think you're trying to get me away from asking more questions since I stumped you with the other one.
No.
So last question, last official question is, what advice would you give to somebody who is looking to take a step in the right direction, or in the direction of what they're called to do, or their calling, or a new arena, or anything like that? Like, to someone who's okay, let me give some context to this. Your post the other day said that you started your journey for one thing, and you listed a number of things that has taken you on, and certifications and things like that. What advice would you give to someone who is you afraid to take that first step?
Hmm. Adapt or die. That's it. I actually did a presentation earlier this week to some college freshmen, and the title of my presentation was Adapt or Die. It's, and that's it. That's where we are in our society now. You have two choices, and that's really what it was. I was faced with adapt, do something different, or die. And it doesn't have to be a literal death. It can be the death of a dream, the death of a certain energy you possess, just the death of your spirituality, who you're meant to be,
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
So that honestly, it's not a lot like, oh, it's adapt or die. And once you make that choice, then again, everything, that next step is going to be right there for you.
Yeah.
You just have to, yeah, I wish it was something more.
No, that's good. That's great.
Or something more, but it really is just like, and the thing is that every day we're faced with that same choice.
Yeah.
Adapt or die, do or die. It's sink or swim, you know.
Yeah, very much so.
That's just life. And even if you sink the one day, tomorrow you can choose to swim. And that's the beauty of it, is that each day, each moment, each season, you're offered the opportunity to make that change. It's never really over until we decide that it's over.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
You can fail all day as long as you don't give up.
Right.
Like, and again, it's deep. And I always try to give context to my words, because there was a version of me that had no faith at all in anything. Because I had been through some things, like most humans on the planet. I've been through some things that made me think like, oh my goodness, what's the point? Why try? Why even do it? And again, like you say, when you want something, the universe conspires. So I was ready to give up. The universe provided me with all the outlets to damage myself. Oh, you wanna destroy yourself, man? I got this club. It got some people there. It's buy one get one free drinks. You could do this. You could do that. There's never there's abundance and like people and there's never the context is rarely given to the word abundance, right? Abundance, people always think surplus of something good. Abundance doesn't always mean good. You can have an abundance of bad opportunities. And when you choose the way you want your day to go or your life to go, and that's the vein that you're moving in, there's an abundance there too. There's an abundance of friends that are waiting to dish gossip to you. There's an abundance of bad situations that you can jump into and find yourself in toxic friendships, relationships, marriages, and for that forever. If that's what you want, if that's what you're calling to action in your life. And so abundance doesn't always mean a surplus of good. It just means a surplus. And you put the context where you want it. And so for me, I found that abundance in my misery when I was years ago. And so once I became more aware of like, I'm choosing this lifestyle, I'm choosing to feel this way, I'm choosing to let the things that happen to me control all my actions going forward. Once I realized that, I'm like, okay, let me stop thinking. So what triggered it for me was the book The Secret. And then I watched the movie The Secret, and it gave it more literal context because the way they described it made it make more sense. Reading that book was kind of like dull for me because that book was written without character. It was written as just dialogue and just content. So when I watched the actual Netflix version of the Secret, it put it in perspective, and I was able to shift it up a little bit. And so certain things stuck out more than other things. And when I was understanding, like we often say, think about what you want. Think about what you want. But people don't put that in the context. You can all, people say, think about what you want. Okay, well, I want to go to school and I don't want to fail and I don't want to do bad today and I don't want to have a bad car. I don't want to have this. You're indirectly thinking about what you want, but the universe doesn't speak in negatives. The universe doesn't
Mhm.
communicate in biased conversation. So if you say I don't
Right.
want, it doesn't care about that. The word you put, the subject in your sentence is what it's focused on. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you say I don't want. All you heard is car accident. All the universe heard was debt. All the universe heard was overweight. And they gave you more things to put you in that situation. So instead of you saying, I want to get in a better shape, I want to feel better, I want to be healthy, I want to live a healthier life, I want to have healthy and wealthy friends that help me propel myself into better circumstances, that's what the universe is acting on. So if you are having a bad day, think about the last couple things you said to yourself. Think about the last things you said out loud. Oh my God, today is going to be horrible. And then at the end of the day, you're like, see, I told you. I told you it was going to be a bad day. No, you told you that you wanted a bad day. And
Right.
everything aligned itself perfectly in abundance for what you wanted. So you
Mm.
have to shift the knots. Like I don't speak in the knots anymore. I speak
Right.
in I want, I want, I want. I don't ever
Right.
really say what I don't want because I learned that when I used to think that way. Like, oh, I don't want the situation to blow up in my face. And what would happen? All right there. The whole thing. So that's the biggest thing for me. So like I said, with the secret, that's what taught me that. And so what you said, like do or die. Do or die. You do it, you don't do it. Don't talk about not doing it. Don't talk about the consequences are going to be there. We all know the
Right.
consequences. So if you write them down one time, don't dwell on the consequences. Look at the possibilities. Okay, if I do this, I might be able to fly. I mean, in any situation, there's a possibility that you could hurt yourself or die, right? That's a given.
Right.
So you don't even got to address those things. It's a given. I could walk out the door and get hit by a car. That's a given. I'm not calling that universe. You know what I'm saying? So but that's what it is. Like you don't have to even address the possibilities of the failure. Address the possibility of the success. If I do this, I might get X, Y, or Z. This could be a step in the right direction. And that's when you look at it that way, you begin to feel things differently. So I love what you said. It is do or die. And it is do it or it's that's it. That's all it is. And it's all anything that's you broke it down in the most simplest form that it could be broken down to. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm 100% in agreement with that. You said more than enough in that small phrase. So yeah, kudos to that. So I want to give you a chance to let people know how they can find you, your business, your books, everything that you do. I want you to tell people how to find you.
Okay, so you can visit my website, melaninrichwellness.com, Facebook or facebook.com/melaninrichwellness, and then Instagram at melaninrichwellness. And that's how you can connect with me. I have an amazing online shop where I have ebooks. I make handcrafted herbal teas, vaginal steaming herbs. I also, for a limited time, I'm selling my harvest inspired juices. So just visit the shop. It has so much that you could, that will do you good. I also offer nutrition consulting, holistic health consulting. So it's just a way to really improve yourself. And I have information on fasting, on herbalism, on hoodoo, just on it's breast cancer awareness month, so breast health for the Black woman. I mean, it's just an array of very important and timely information that we need to improve our health.
So I love it. I love it a lot. So check her out. Get there. Find out what you need. If you don't know what you need, get there, and it'll appear to you. But I will say this to everybody listening: speak what you want. Speak what you want. Speak life into your dreams. Speak life into your visions. Think of yourself as that 5-year-old, 4-year-old little kid when that positive grandmother said, "You can do anything you want to do, baby. Just put your mind to it." Put that in for and put that into context right now. She was telling you to say what you want, and you can make it happen. The universe is limitless. You just look all around us. There's stuff that we don't even understand that happens every single day. you can actually call into your life whatever you want to be in your life, and there's no limitation on that. So now I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can say I want $1 million tomorrow in my bank account, and I want all the Nikes ever created. You can. I'm not telling you to say that. What I am saying is the way you want to feel, the way you want to live, the way you want to be, you can call that into existence, and you can begin to move in that way. So yes, you can be whatever you want to be if you put your mind to it. But putting your mind to it means speaking it in a positive way so that the universe understands this is what you want. And when you want something, what happens, Kathleen?
All the universe conspires to make it happen.
That's what happens. So as always, I want to end it with be dope and be great. Peace.